Oh, right. I guess there's a show. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Get Off My Lawn, where myself and Captain Xavier, we get on for about a couple hours and talk about anything we like. Usually it's related to foam flinging and Nerf. Sometimes we talk about obscure things, but you know how it is. Two old dudes, you have no idea where we're going to go. We're just happy you come along for the ride. Again, we are on the World Foam Alliance YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. The more people that subscribe, the more likes we get. You know how YouTube works. The more you get, the more money you get. The more money you get, what does that mean? We can actually do more things for you. That's exactly what we do. Because again, we are making no money on this. We just like doing it. Also, worldfoamalliance.org. The website is up and running. Please go and register. Not all of the wonderful features we want to put into it are up and running. However, they will be. You got to remember, a lot of us have full-time gigs. This is our half-time gig, yet still, considering a half-time gig, we put a lot of energy into it, and we will make this happen. So again, back to the subscribing thing. If we make money, then we can throw more money. You get how it works. Either way, come follow us, come like us, and everything is good. Last couple of episodes, it's been a busy summer, as you noticed. Some of us have been on the convention tour. I just got back from Dallas and then Boston, and that's why we had to cancel one show because we realized we were in the midst of setting up a booth. So it's kind of hard to set up a show. But anyways, we are back on track. And again, we are tonight, and tonight we do have two special guests. We will be bringing them on later. So we do have Basic Nerf and King of Games both about to talk about their event that's going to be happening July 13th, but you're going to stick around. They will tell you about it later. Now, in the meantime, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I think the only other event I want to tell people about is that next week over the 4th of July, if you are anywhere near the Denver area or if you're going to Denver Fan Expo, I will not be there. Family vacay. I will be at the beach getting a sunburn because, you know, skin cancer is a good thing, apparently. And but if you go out there, Fan Expo, you will find Dart Zone. The large booth will be there as always. You can come out, try out. It's free to try out all the blasters they have there. Also at conventions, it's always cheaper than on the website. We figured if you made the effort to come out to the convention, they will give it to you for less of a price. You will also find Andrew, aka Dart Sweep, will be out there. Also, my boy Wolfguard Cosplay, Nate, will be out there as well as Man Behind the Curtain. And, well, I don't know, might be other people, but you got to come out and find it. Now, with that being said, this is not just me talking to you. We also have someone else, and you all probably know him. I hope you know him. But anyways, we got Captain Xavier. Dude, what's going on, brother? How are you, man?
I'm good. I've been long wanged again. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, somebody reached out to my Captain Xavier Facebook page, said that they were an Amazon seller, that they sold darts, but that they weren't selling well, and they liked my YouTube channel and what I like, all the darts. And I said, sure, I'm a shameless fan of free stuff. Send me the darts. And on a certain level, I assumed this was a gag, that this was some sort of a prank, because the name of the person was Long Wang. and so my assumption was, this is somebody pulling my leg. There's going to be something on social media about Captain Xavier fell for a gag from Long Wang. But then I looked up their profile, and they're actually from Shanghai or Hong Kong. And I realized that, no, that might actually be their name, and I'm just being racist. So again, I said, sure. And I had no idea how many he was going to send. 3 boxes, 4 boxes. I'm currently sitting at 56 boxes of 200 rounds of darts. They look just like worker darts. There's a bunch that just look like the heavy worker darts. There's a bunch that are the same thing, but slightly bambooed. So they're not as bambooed as Dart Zone, but they are ribbed. Same thing, but with glow-in-the-dark heads. Though I only got 2 boxes of those. And then in yellow. And I have no idea how many are coming. The first wave that arrived, because they've been arriving in waves, it was, I don't remember how many packages it was, but it was a total of 12 boxes of darts, 4 of each kind. 4 boxes of each kind. And I pinged him back going, hey, 12 boxes arrived. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And he went, yes, I sent 48. The problem is I'm up to 56 out of 48. So I don't think he meant he sent 48 boxes of darts. I think he sent 48 packages of boxes of darts.
Oh
And
my
some of the
lord!
packages had as many as 8 boxes in them. So I have absolutely no idea how many are actually coming. I went yesterday, there was another like 15 packages. I went back today, there were 3 more packages. There could be more packages tomorrow. I could be getting packages for the rest of my natural life. I don't know. I already shipped
Dear
off
God.
3 boxes, one of each kind, to my friend in, or to one of my crew members in Hawaii, because apparently it's hard to get half darts in Honolulu. So I sent him a bunch because why not? Just put a new label right on the box that they came in and just shipped them right back out again. Like, no, these ones, I don't like these ones. Send me some other ones. So I'm sitting at over 10,000 darts here, wondering where am I supposed to put these things.
Oh my word! And have you had a chance to try them yet?
No, I was going to do that now, but I have to do it without showing up on camera. I can
we'll believe you. You can do it. Something, whatever. We'll believe what happens. In the meantime, while you're doing that, if you want to put together an assortment of what you got and send it to me, that'd be great. I know I have people here that would love to see what it is you got from the Long Wang.
Sir, if you want stuff, you have to come pick it up.
I will, man, but it won't be till fall.
That's only a couple of months away.
I know the way. Holy cow, man! Time is flying. Can you believe it's gonna be the 4th of July next week? It's like holy cow. Pretty soon it's gonna be Christmas.
Foam's sneaking up on us.
Which reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, while he's trying to load that up and see if it fires, in the meantime, I will plug Foam's Giving. Foam's Giving, again, is happening this year. For all of you that do not know what that is, it is a charity drive that the World Foam Alliance does. Last year was an inaugural event. It was the first time we did it. We threw it together in less than a month. And because of all you wonderful people, we had so many people that supported, helped, gave money, gave their time, gave things. It was just a great experience. And we were actually able to raise $7,200, and we were hoping for $5,000, but really kind of expected, I don't know, anything. So with a huge success, we can only imagine what we're able to do, given that we have a whole full year to do it. And we've already amassed some great prizes, some great ideas. Never mind, we already have some great commitments for people that will be showing up on the live. So again, that will be happening. We haven't set a date yet. Most likely it'll be late November, if not like the first weekend or two in December. I think we're going to shoot for before American Thanksgiving. Before Thanksgiving, keep an eye out on it. We'll be giving away a ton of stuff. For example, if you ever seen any of my videos and you saw the black and yellow moose one that I got from Foamdemic, that will be going up on Foam's Giving. I just haven't decided if it's going to be an auction item or whatever, but either way, you can have, that's going to like just one of the examples of some of the great things we're going to have. All right. In the meantime, can you do stuff in the background and tell us if it's any good?
Well, it didn't want to shoot out of the first blaster I put it in.
Oh,
but it works in this one. Apparently it doesn't like, they don't like P-cars. They kept getting caught in the Acorn P-car on my AL or my all 160. Works just fine out of my Harrier. Shoot nice and straight.
interesting. Very cool, man.
I have no idea what kind of fips they're getting. Let's just tilt this up so I don't accidentally show this on camera.
Correct.
Yeah. They work.
Nice, dude.
Nothing here but toys, YouTube. Toys, I tell you.
That is. It is all toys. My God, we're just large children.
Nerf. It's all Nerf. Nerfage. Nerfery. Yeah. So these will get stored right next to the 12 cases of Dart Zone darts somebody randomly mailed me once.
So what you're saying is that Panic does not suffer from a shortage of darts.
No, we already have one large loaner bin of half darts, and I just put together my own like 10-gallon box of half darts for my loaner stuff because I'm building my own full Nerf game trailer. I've got a box of half darts, a box of full darts, 5 gallons of rival. Yeah, no, I have no shortage of darts. And I've got reach out to us on the Discord.
What he said, reach out to us on the Discord and I will find out too. And we're always happy to receive donations. If there's some donations where like I feel that it might not get enough draw or or enough like attention that it deserves, I will let you know about it, because the last thing I want to do is take something from you and feel bad or someone like misuses or abuses it. But that, trust me, don't worry about that. The point is, yes, we love donations, and this is going to be fantastic. Did I say that right? I hope that came out correctly.
Where'd the chat go? I had the chat. No.
Why'd you lose it?
Stop it.
Part of actually what we might be doing as well. So depending on where you're located, we might, instead of having it to double ship it, we just might then say, like, for example, if like we got Andy Works that's in the chat right now, and he's in Australia. So it might be with, instead of Andy shipping it all the way over here and then shipping it somewhere else, we might make it available where it's like Andy's giving away a blaster, or it's an auction or whatever it is, and it's available to these continents or these areas. And that way, if you win it, then he'll just ship it from there to save on time, logistics, and then funding on our side as well. And so part of it too, we might be limiting where we can send stuff. It's as much as we like to cover. It's just, again, we're not Amazon. We don't have a ton of money. So, and we want to make sure that everyone all over the place, because we are global. We are global. We have people all over the world, man. So it's
what we might end up doing is, like, if people donate stuff and they are in Singapore, only people in Singapore can win that item. And the same thing for the guys in Europe. Their stuff would only go to Europeans, depending on, again, shipping costs, because we don't want to put the burden on the people who are donating stuff to, okay, you donated a Maverick and now you have to mail it to Mongolia.
Exactly.
Yeah. Andy Work did the math. 48 packages times 8 would be 384 boxes at 200 darts per box would be 76,800. Now, not every package had 8 boxes in it. Only some of them had 8 boxes. Some had 2, some had 3, some had 4. There was one where it was just the box. It was just, they just slapped a shipping label on a single box and just shipped it out. They could have done that. My post office would have lost their mind if there'd been 50 individual boxes of darts, each with their own shipping label.
I'm just wondering why he shipped you that many. Is it the hope that you're going to be like distributing to everybody, anybody you see? Does he have that much surplus? Like,
look, man, you've got all the information I've got.
Which reminds me, if you want a free box of darts, Captain Xavier will be just throwing them out on his front lawn. Come by and pick them up.
Yeah. That actually is one of the rules I have when people come to visit me, is nobody leaves empty-handed. So either you take something or I cut your hands off. And at this point, it might very well be no, everyone gets a complimentary box of darts. Come to grips with this. But I don't have any half-dart blasters. I don't care.
I'm sorry. Maybe you thought I was asking. Take the darts.
Oh, well, the response then will be, well, then let me go get you one. Here you go. Now you've got a half-dart blaster.
No more excuses out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to some of the events we have. I might be going to Denver. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yet. Details have not been finalized. I am wanting to host an event here at my place again. Borst has been going well. We're gotten even more organized about Borst. I upgraded my game box. I've got a bunch more things to make it even more run smoother and run more obvious and more easy for new people. Because that was kind of the last event. We had a lot of new people, and it was oddly more exhausting than usual. And a lot of it was just having to explain the same thing over and over again because we didn't have a nice, neat printout of the rules. We have one of those now.
Smart.
It also was off and on raining all day long, which is just unpleasant.
Actually, I was going to ask about that just because I know you've been putting together your game trailer. So I guess the common question is, what are some of the basics if you were like a game runner like yourself, and your kid is phenomenal? And I know some people are not at that level yet, but we should start out. What are some staples you'd recommend for people to look into, to acquire, or have to really start a game? Like almost like a starter package and goals to achieve, like things not to look for, things to look for, and just a basic rundown. So it's like, hey, I want to run this. What should I do, dude?
This is actually something we were planning to do through the World Foam Alliance, is put together like an Amazon wish list that we could then make public. That is here's all the starter stuff you need if you want to run your own game. So it'd be, really cheap iPro, really cheap cones for setting up boundaries, things for MacGuffins, team markers, flag football belts actually work really well for team markers. Because everyone can just get a belt and then the flags detach, and it makes it easier to switch which team you're on just by switching which flag you have on your belt. And they're cheap; they come in bulk. We ended up going with the mesh vests that they use for like when sports teams do practice, because they're much more visual, very easy to see than a little team flag on your belt. And people don't walk off with them, because people were constantly walking off with our team markers, because you clip it on your belt and forget about it and leave the event with it. And next thing you know, I went from having 50 to having 20, and we don't have enough for all the people playing. So we got like 72 red and blue mesh vests. They don't wander off. Buckets for dart sweep are something I've found to be incredibly useful. I just have like the little pails that you can get at the dollar store for going to the beach. I've got a whole bunch of those. We also use them as as spawn points. You can use the buckets as your spawn points or your control points or whatever. And then at the end of the day, you can also use them for dart collection. And then we use just the mesh folding laundry hampers as the place you dump all of the darts at the end of the day, and then we sort through them. Yeah. Box of Band-Aids.
Yeah, that's key. And then when you get really good at it, then you got a trailer, and we'll talk about that another time, because that
trailer is eventually you end up with what I've got, where I will eventually have 24 pop-up tents, 12 tall ones, 12 short ones, in 2 different colors. So you got lots of extra cover that folds up real nice and easy. Loner darts, loner blasters, loner iPro, all the stuff for Titan Ball, all the stuff for some of our other games, control points and capture the flag and HVZ MacGuffins and Pinger HVZ MacGuffins. But just the very basics of what you need. We're gonna put together a list of here's the items you should definitely have. And with this minimal box, you can easily run a full Nerf war. And then you just build on from there.
No, that is awesome, and it's like little things like that, and lists like this really help people. Otherwise, you show up and all right, I'm going to run games today. I don't have markers. Oh, I don't have this. I don't have that. So a list like that, I think that'd be fantastic, and that'll work. That'll work very well. And again, if you have an idea and you thought, well, I'm going to bring this, we're not going to come look at you and say, no, stupid, you can't do that. If it's a great idea and it works out, please tell us. On the flip side, if you had a great idea and you tried it and it failed miserably, tell us so that we also cannot fail. Like sometimes, like it's like stuff we do. Sometimes, oh, this worked out well. Other times we'll tell you, by the way, don't do this. There were pictures. We won't talk about it, but don't do this.
There we go. What do we got going on?
Oh, you got the chat up?
Looking at the chat. Borscht. Yes, chicken and cabbage soup. Borscht is a Fort Borscht. It's an old frontier fort. In the game that you run, do I allow people under 18? Yes. Our public war that we run at Fort Borscht is open to all ages. If you are under a certain age, we do expect you to have an adult there to be responsible for you. We've run afoul of that, where people would drive up, drop their 12-year-olds off, and then leave for the rest of the day. And then their kids would cause problems or get injured, and then we'd have issues. So we're a little more careful about that. But at Borscht, it's a public event. Anyone can come. The events that I host at my place are invitation only, and I don't think I've invited anyone under 18. I don't know about Waffle. I don't know if Waffle has an age limit, because that's a competitive game. But I don't know of anyone under 18 who wants to go. Question mark.
True. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. Last question, then we're gonna get into our guest. But then, what do you think about inflatables? Is that something every club should strive to get, or you think it's not necessary, or it all depends?
Inflatables are really, really cool, but they are also a bit of a logistic nightmare because you have to have a way to inflate them, and then you have to deflate them, and you have to store them. I am definitely leaning towards pop-up tents. One, they're cheap, they're easy to deploy, they're easy to move, they're easy to take deck down. They store really, really small. So that's what I'm going towards. I know a lot of other people have been doing that for a long time. I just finally pulled the trigger on buying a bunch of them because they're also not cheap, but they are also extremely durable. They're not going to get popped by somebody, running into them and knocking them down. If you're in an area that's got a lot of wind, you got to stake them down, which is a pain, which we do have to do here in the Pacific Northwest. If you're in an indoor location, you wouldn't need to. But if you're at an indoor location, you could also have taking down the cover as a game mechanic. If you can get to your opponent's side of the field and knock down their cover, then they have to set it back up again. Well, that's, an advantage or a disadvantage. Well, let's see. We got all kinds of questions coming in. Working on a Strife. Either of you working on any projects lately? Yes. What did I work on? Griffins. I built a pair of Griffins.
That's right.
Or rather, cool, I took one Griffin and made it into two Griffins. I explained it in the video. I think a video comes out on Friday. And then you'll get to see Rocket and I on the range with it. July Boars. What's the cheapest type of cover you have if you just have a parking lot? Probably still going to be pop-up tents.
Yeah.
You can make your own using PVC and tarp, and it might be a little cheaper. But again, it ultimately may prove to be less durable. And it's more of a pain to store, to take apart and put back together and store than pop-up tents. I've got a bunch where they're like 4 feet wide and 6 feet tall, and then I've got a bunch coming that are 6 feet wide and 4 feet tall. So you can get variety in your cover as well. So, how do you define pistol? There are a lot of debate in our current club. This is going to be different for every single club. And it comes down to how your club decides to define it. We've struggled back and forth with it, and ultimately we couldn't go, because of the advances in the hobby, we couldn't really go with a form factor anymore because I could put a 50-round drum on my pew-pew. And while that's a pistol, the whole point of restricting things to pistol was to limit the amount of power you could have. And generally it's what you allow with a shield. Because shields are inherently a broken concept in our hobby, because under no circumstances should you be able to have a bulletproof shield that's made out of plastic and that a small child could carry. An actual bulletproof ballistic shield is either going to need to be, high, metal of some kind or some kind of, heavy polymer, and they're going to be heavy and they're going to be awkward. Whereas I can make a shield out of a sled that is bulletproof in Nerf, and so we typically will restrict what blasters you can use along with a shield. And if you just say pistols, well then yeah, my pew pew could be a pistol. The Nightingale is a pistol, but those are very powerful, and if you combine that with a shield, it can be very broken very quickly, depending on the way your team plays, how organized they are, how good they are with teamwork, how good what mechanics you have for breaking shields, how good your long range, your sniper people are, because there's always a way to counter it. And I've been in clubs where they allowed anything with a shield, but then they made it real easy to break the shield, or there's just enough people with shields on both sides that they end up balancing each other out. We went with, I think it's non-electric, and it can't hold more than, I think, 10 rounds. So things like hammer shots are obviously fine. The Outlaw is fine. And people will typically go with a hammer primed blaster because you can still use it one-handed. As opposed to something that you need both hands to prime because one hand's holding a shield. It's the same question of how do you define a shield? What are the limits of shields? How big can I make a shield? Can I just go out there in a giant refrigerator box, call it a shield, and be completely immune to everything? Do you have a surface area minimum? It can only have this much surface area. It can only have this diameter. What have you. And it's just going to come down to how does your club want to play, because different clubs play in different ways, and it's both the beauty and one of the problems with our hobby. The beauty is that anywhere you go, it's going to be different. It's going to be new. It's going to be interesting. The downside is the lack of standardization means that when multiple groups come together, whose rule set do you use?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, there you go. And it got confusion where people are used to be able to do this at our club, and you go to someone else's club and they don't let you do it, and then it evolves into a problem.
I think that's the advantage of our hobby, though, is because everyone gets along. Where 3 groups can come together and they're smart enough, and everyone gets along to figure out, all right, this is what we're doing. Where it's like,
and a lot of
other hobbies that kind of fight, we don't.
Yeah, and it's generally relatively similar in know, like what FPSs do people use at public events as opposed to the FPSs at competitive or private events. That's slowly getting kind of standardized. So we keep getting monkey wrenches thrown in it because they keep making blasters at Walmart that are higher than the usual FPS we allow at public events. And then you've got people showing up with a Nexus Pro thinking they can just take the field at an event that's 150 FPS. Well, a Nexus Pro X, it's almost 200. But they bought it at Walmart. So do we raise the FPS to 200? I wouldn't want to do that for a public event where you allow, 8-year-olds to play. But at competitive, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe we up it. Something like HVZ, absolutely not. It's a pain. I do not enjoy getting shot at point blank range with a 150 FPS blaster all day long. It's not fun for the zombies anymore. You're gonna have a lot of zombies decide they don't want to play anymore, and then you don't have any zombies, and then it's just a bunch of nerds walking around campus with toys. Which, I mean, we wouldn't want to be accused of that, now would we?
No, never. I think it ultimately comes down to, like everything else, communication. Have it laid out properly, and you won't run into these challenges. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah, and test one thing, and if it doesn't work, try something else next time. If you find out that we allowed this with shields and they just completely wrecked everybody and no one was having fun because the guy with the shield could just wipe the whole team every single time, well, then you need to rebalance it. Readdress it. You're like, okay, no more full auto with shields. You can only have semi-auto. And you're like, oh, no, that worked. Semi-auto, we got a good balance. Okay, and another group's like, now we went with hammer primed only, or, single shot or melee only or whatever. And in some places, they're going to go, well, if the shield's wrecking, then you guys need to get better. Figure out how to counter the shield. Get some teamwork going. Figure out how to flank him. Figure out how to distract him. Get someone out there with a rocket or melee or whatever. It just comes down to your club.
It does. Or have the guy.
We change it every year, probably. Have
the guy you had that I saw at Boris that had the shield and a sword and nothing else, and could run for days and destroyed everybody.
Yeah, that's the downside of allowing melee in Nerf is most people don't actually know how to fight with melee.
No,
Lieutenant Wolfric has been fighting sword and shield since he was 12. That's when I recruited him. He was born to it. He is a professional sword teacher now. That's what he does for a living, is teach swordplay.
Yep.
So if you give him a sword, he's gonna wreck people with a sword. All right, is it time to bring in our guests? I do believe it is just that time.
It is that time. Before they find other things to do and say this isn't worth it and leave.
Or drink any more energy drink and just start twitching.
So wait, one more thing. Share to everyone. Share. Did I mention share? Tell other people we're on and stuff like that. We do it, but we're busy. All right, Chayla, tell the people who we got.
I don't know these people. We've got Kale, known as King of Games, who is now local to my area. So he gets to come play at my arena and plays at Borst and plays at Waffle. And then we've got Basic Nerf. Jason, Basic Nerf. I have no idea who he is or where he's from or anything about him. So I'm looking forward to finding that out myself. Look, here they are. Explain your spells.
Explain our spells or selves?
Yourself. Explain your spells.
I'm Kale, aka King of Games. I play on a competitive team. I think that's what I'm probably most well known for. Is playing in the competitive tournaments, all around the country. But I do also have some people know me from my YouTube channel where I talk about, blasters, concepts, make challenge videos, and other stuff like that.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Jason / Basic Nerf. I've been in the hobby since late 2009, organizing and creating content since 2010. I went from 2010 to 2016. I took a long break until last year, but I'm back in the hobby. And the hobby's at a super good place, so I'm here to stay. And me and Kale are here to talk about our little Southern California event called Armageddon. And my name comes from the fact that when I started the hobby, I was like, I don't understand modding. I have a basic understanding, and I was like, oh, basic Nerf. Yeah, that kind of. I'll just have my channel not really do mods and stuff. So that's where I get my name from.
I like that. That works. That makes a lot of sense, man, and it's very different. Gentlemen, glad to have you both on. Don't worry, Captain Xavier sometimes forgets who I am. So this is
I forget who I am.
this is one day we'll get tattoos with names on it. So anyways, another show. But glad to have both of you on. Obviously, Basic Nerf, first time you've been on this. Also, King of Games, he's been on here a couple of times, and as some of you might remember, he was on Foam's Giving, and he will be again to happily take your money as he sells his soul and everything else that he has on camera, because apparently that's what people want to do to him. So yeah, but we can talk about that another time as well. So gentlemen, then tell us exactly what's happening. Actually, Basic Nerf, we'll let you lead. So tell us what Armageddon is and basically how it started.
So Armageddon has its history and roots starting in 1999. It started off when one of the co-founders of Nerf Haven, the once popular Nerf modding forum, his name was Spoon online. He invited some friends from the East Coast. There was 4 of them, and with them being all kind of teens and it being the 90s at this time, they're all extra dramatic. So they called the friends coming the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, or no, just the 4 horsemen. And so I guess that they called the event Armageddon to match with that kind of crazy name. And the first event showed that they had, I believe, had 60 something people in Orange County, which is like a county next to Los Angeles down here. And then pretty much every summer since then, it's been this event that the organizers have, that it's to its purpose is to have people come together, play with like higher FPS limits, play with new and kind of crazy blasters, and just have fun together. That is the general gist of Armageddon, I'd say. It went from every summer 1999 until 2019, until the pandemic started, which forced a lot of us to take breaks with things. And then last year I got back into the hobby, and I was like kind of asking around. I was like, is anyone still running this? And the forum organizers I talked to, they're like, no, we're not. And I was like, can I run it? They're like, yeah, sure. Because what's that saying? If no one's doing it, do it yourself, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I invited a bunch of people. We had some people come from Utah. We had some people come from Maryland to play. And we actually set an attendance record last year with 92 people. So after a 4-year hiatus, managed to set a record. Hope to break the 100-player record this year. It's the first time in its history. It's going to be a 2-day event. Day 1 is King of Games. He's the lead organizer on that, and I'm very grateful to have him on the team organizing. So a competitive flag push tournament like Maryland Mayhem. And then day 2 is going to be a 300 FPS cap event at this private school I used to go to. So, we're taking kind of following that same lane and path as other big events like Ragnar Oktoberfest and Maryland Mayhem and War. Who knows, maybe one day we can get Armageddon to kind of reach those type of events. But for now, we're just focusing on doing the best we can with our new 2-day event.
I think that's awesome, and it's a good way to start it out. And well, you know how it is. Once you put a good core team of organizers together, it's amazing how much you can go. It's just don't step on each other's toes, respect each other's abilities, easily identify who does what, and everyone puts in 100%, man. And I say it just from watching what the boys in Maryland did, and it's a formula that works. And obviously there are times where they all don't agree on everything, but they know how to sort it out and work it out, which is why it's just gets better and better every year. So then for the event, does it cost anything? Are there sponsors? Is it by how does that work?
Well, I answered the last question, so I can let Kale answer this one.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, real quick. In relation to Maryland Mayhem, specifically, I just want to touch real quick. We are running for the tournament the same flag dash rules and stuff, and we are taking a lot of inspiration from what they're doing, and trying to kind of get a bi-coastal, handshake going on here and getting traveling teams to be a real thing. So, this year, we're looking to obviously run it into a 2-day event. If you look at the financial reports that Maryland Mayhem released, for both years. Last year, 2023, their first year of doing it, they spent $5,000, a little over $5,000, trying to put this event together. And and then this year, they really took it to another level, and they spent $10,000 on making this event happen. So what we've done for the 2 days is try to really crowdfund this. There are sponsors, but they're not playing as big of a role as as they would be in an event like Maryland Mayhem or have been. We're really trying to, grassroots this thing for our first year. So we do have a wonderful list of sponsors contributing to the prize pool and contributing to us, things like getting cameras for, capturing the whole event. That's something that we've been asked a lot about. Is where are people going to be able to find it, and can they view the footage and stuff. So that being said, for day one, we're matching their price for teams to register for the tournament, which is $100 per team, and we're doing that in the hopes of kind of like unifying the sport, but we fully recognize that we're going to be eating out of pocket the extra costs without having the same support systems that they have. So when it comes down to players, right, for day one, you are allowed a max of 7 players on your roster, and a minimum of 5, right? Because the game is 5-on-5 players. So that means that it's going to cost you between $15 and $20 per player. So don't freak out when you hear that $100 price tag and go, oh my God, $100? Like, we're going to spend so much, but it's $100 for the whole team. And it doesn't matter if you have 5 or if you have 7, it covers it. In terms of day 2, there's also some costs associated there, obviously. And the price on that is just $15 a player. And it's just a flat rate.
So if I may touch upon that, when I asked that question, and obviously because I'm older, full-time job, blah, 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 I do remember it was like a college student when you were younger. But at the same time, if you want to put on a good event, you want to have, so right there in the question, can you stream it? Can I watch it? Can it be organized? Can you do this? Yes, this all costs money. It's like, it's amazing how many people will do things out of pocket and for free, but like, come on, there is nothing that you're going to do on a weekend or that's going to, how many of y'all have been to Disney and paid how much for a day pass and cheat the line pass? And now you're going to complain to me about spending $20 to do Nerf all weekend? Come on now, let's not have this game. Never mind the other things that you're spending money on that cost a lot. This is over the weekend, and I can guarantee you it's not because we're a major corporation where suddenly Kale is now driving in a Ferrari because he's pocketed the money from the event. So it's kind of perspective. I get it, you don't have money, but at the same time, if you want an event, it's going to cost money. It's going to cost. Events aren't free. Blasters aren't free. Darts aren't free. Prizes aren't free. Guys to run, to referee, you get a lot of volunteers. But let's say we're dressing them up the same way. Cameras, Wi-Fi, it all costs money. So when they're getting this, it's not because they're trying to steal money from you. It's because you want the product, I'll give you the product. Help me help you do what you want to do, man. So that is amazing that you guys are able to keep that cost down. And again, the transparency of it all. And I get it if you don't have money. I get it. But at the same time, you want something to happen, man? Pay money. You want something free? Watch us 2 mooks every other Wednesday. That's free. All right? And don't bitch. There are other things you can do for free. You want to participate in this? It'll cost money. Sorry. Feel free to criticize me after.
One of the main benefits of our hobby is that we can run a lot of our events for next to nothing. Like the public wars that we do at Borst. We don't charge for those. We're probably never going to charge for those. We don't need to charge for those. But that is largely because there's certain individuals in our hobby who have access to resources that they're willing to just throw at the hobby because they like watching people have fun. But Borst doesn't cost us anything. Borst is a public park. It's free. The kind of events where Maryland Mayhem is held, where Armageddon's being held, or APOC and BPOC, those venues aren't necessarily free. And that's where they, things like Mall Madness, if you want events on that scale, on those kinds of really nice venues that, aren't open to the public, that we can close off and can have our event, that's going to cost money. And that should not be coming entirely out of the game organizers' pockets. because that's just unreasonable to expect. So yeah, getting sponsors is cool. We talked about this before the video. One of the main goals of the World Foam Alliance is to elevate the competitive side of Nerf to the level of airsoft and paintball, where you get major sponsors, things like, you know, Under Armour or Red Bull or you know, something like that would be sponsoring one of these teams to go to these various events that held around the country. But there needs to be enough of those events, and they need to be on a high enough level of quality, and they need to be have a production quality and something that they can market. You know, are there live streams? Are there ways people can watch this? You know, or is it worth their time to sponsor this? Are they going to get anything back from it? True, the kind of money they would be putting into sponsoring a Nerf team would be pennies compared to what they're putting into, you know, NASCAR or whatever. But are they going to get any return? Well, in order for them to get a return, the events need to be worth watching. They need to be something that can be marketed. The sport needs to be something that can be marketed. And making a sport worth watching costs money. We need to have good cover. We need to have good lighting, good cameras, good organization. It needs to run smoothly. It needs to look professional, because that is what will get us actual real sponsors. And again, that takes money, and it also takes time to build. This is something that's been building and slowly getting better and better and better. And it's amazing how much better it's got. The kind of tournaments that we're talking about didn't exist 5 years ago. It just wasn't even a thing. It wasn't something anyone had even really considered. And then all of a sudden, there's enough of them that standing teams exist now. You know, we know about Nebula. We know about, you know, Magic Smoke. We know about these teams because they keep showing up, because there are enough events for them to go to. And that's amazing. That's something I've wanted in this hobby forever, because while public wars with little kids are great, the tinkering aspect of this hobby is amazing. But for the longest time, there wasn't anywhere really for people who did that amazing level of engineering and tinkering to really show it off and shine. Whereas in competitive Nerf, when you've built a truly top-tier blaster that can actually change the course of a 5v5 event, that's amazing to see. But there wasn't any venue for that until the competitive scene started taking off, and I love it. I love it.
It is great, and it's because of individuals like yourselves. So that, again, sorry for the interruption, but just want to make sure that someone didn't say, well, does that cost? Yeah, it costs money. Come on now. You paid for the internet to watch this, or you're using your parents' internet or your neighbors. Either way, someone's paying for it. But anyways, day two, tell us more. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it. I think a lot of people don't understand necessarily the cost associated. I think one of the first questions that I did get was like, okay, where's that money going? And I'm like, you know, the $100. So like, oh, that's going to a prize pool. And I'm like, we have prizes. We're working on sponsors for doing that stuff. But without securing a venue, the event doesn't happen, period. End of sentence.
Yeah,
and it's really hard.
Understand the cost of venues. They just don't.
Venues are so expensive. And so, yeah, there's that. But I do, we're getting a lot of support. We're trying to be transparent. We're trying to show off, you know, if you ask a question, we may not be able to answer it right in that second, you know, I remember getting a question in the Discord about it. And I was like, okay, well, give us about a week, because we're actually putting together a package, you know, a response. We're trying to handle this with the intention of this year being like a pilot episode of California Foam Soft Tournament, which is what the name of the tournament is called. Nice. And taking this and moving it into a year after year duplicatable and expandable, you know, formula that works in conjunction with Maryland Foam Tournament, you know, and stuff. So, yeah, and that's not an easy road. So, you know, we're happy to be transparent about those kinds of things. The day two, the vibe of that is more of that of a club style game in terms of like party games. You're going to play a lot of things like most of our club style games. You're going to be playing things that are somewhere loosely, you know, done off a PvP video game, Call of Duty, Halo, you know, one of those, you know. So we've got, you know, clicker battles is basically team deathmatch from Call of Duty. And, you know, depending on how, you know, where you live, stockpile or Carpe Testi, you know, two names for the same game. You know, these are, you know, games, again, PvP games. And there's going to be a lot of that on day two. But the cool thing is that it's 300 FPS cap. And, you know, that gives you a lot of range. Now, my favorite thing is that you don't need 300 FPS in order to succeed. There are a lot of people playing at the same time, and you can really take advantage of different play styles. I was running 300 FPS last year when I was just an attendee and not an organizer, for like maybe 2 or 3 rounds. And then I just went to something else that was like maybe 230 FPS at the time. And I still had just as good of a time. I, just adjusted my play style for something that was fun.
I think the formula is there, and what you're doing, I think that's amazing. And so right now, what are the number? Well, actually, better question, just in case. What is your cat? Wait, I just realized in my head like 15 questions popped up. Ooh, what if? But
we're gonna answer all of them.
I know you will, but at the same time, it helps. So I give you one at a time, as opposed to, all right, this is again question 7 and 4. What if? No. Anyways, have all the slots been filled for the tournament already, and how many teams are there?
So at the moment, not all the slots have been filled. The maximum number of teams that we are looking at is 16. Just like Maryland Mayhem, if we encounter a situation where there's like a few fringe cases, we might be able to adjust for that. But really, we're not expecting to, have that issue on our first year. The number of teams that are currently signed up, I believe, that are officially paid and registered are, I believe it's somewhere around 5 teams, with around 4 to 5 teams right now who are currently just looking for 1 or 2 more players, which kind of segues me into my next thing, is how registration works and why it works this way as opposed to the way that Maryland did it. So the East Coast has a more clustered Nerf community. It's not necessarily bigger or smaller, but there is more of it in a packed area where you can drive, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, within there, and you can reach like 8, 9, 10, 11 clubs. And in California, it's not quite that way. On the West Coast in general, it's not quite that way. And so what we've done is we've decided to allow all the way up to day of registration. And this is to incentivize players to come and try it out, where we're going to have the option for pickup players to sign up. And the teams can register, but they can also, all you need is one person to have and reserve your slot. And then you can change up to the day of your registration, which means people can show up within the registration window, say, hey, I want to join a team. Does anybody have any slots? And they can do that. They can also come and have 5 people who all wanted to join a team and didn't find any slots on the existing teams, put a team together and register right then and there. And that's something I really, really wanted to integrate. Pickup teams are very valuable, in my opinion, to growing the hobby in our first year.
Absolutely.
No, that makes total sense. So again, anybody watching at home, if you want to register, registration's open. You heard what he said. Share it. If you know anyone that would love to be a part of this and think, well, I can't do it, it's right there. This is when you take advantage of inaugural gameplay where it's open like that, because you go out, you try it. And I'm pretty sure if you go out and you do well this year, next year when you go to register, I'm pretty sure they will probably, this is unofficially, but you register this year and you actually come out and play, odds are you'll get first crack at it next year. The more popular this gets, it's harder to get those slots. Maryland Mayhem's a great example of it. So if you get that chance, you just heard them, let people know, let your friends know. If you can make that trip out, go out, do it, and try it. This is a great way, especially if you're new to it, you want to experiment with it, or you need practice or anything else in general. Do it, do it, do it. Sorry, Cap, go ahead, brother.
Did I have something?
You were, and then I started talking.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Phone line. This is a call-in show, 979-500-2794. Give us a call and ask us questions. We'll give you 3 minutes, and then we'll tell you to get off our lawn. If you ask a really good question, we might keep talking about it after we've gotten rid of you.
Yeah, I just want to add on really quick to what Kale was talking about. Because this is kind of like a pilot or a first time thing down here in Southern California, a bit being like kind of to the scale that the I would say that the top, and with the lower number of teams right now versus something like Maryland Mayhem, I'd say like the top spots, to get first, second, third place like that are kind of wide open right now. We do have some local teams here. Shout out to of course, Kale's team, Team Nebula, which he started down here, and Team Red Tide, who won last year's Ragnar Oktoberfest King of the Hill tournament. They're both based here, but again, this is a new game that Southern California hasn't really played before with Flag Push. And so, just like pretty much all sports, sometimes the chemistry and the situations and the darts fly a little bit straighter from one team than the other, and it's like any given Sunday. Any team can beat any other team. So, again, even though we have some established teams here, again, it's still really new. So I encourage you to get together some of your friends or acquaintances and have a run at this and have some fun together, while I'd say having a pretty solid chance of ranking in one of those top spots.
Cool. Well, apparently we do, in fact, have a caller. So let's get a caller in here and let him ask a question.
Hi.
Hello?
I was just wondering. What was I? Okay. Have you ever? No, never mind. I completely forgot what I was going to ask.
Well,
ask
let's start
something
with
else.
this. Who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, who are you? What do you want?
Well, I was just.
Did they just?
No, okay. Hi, I'm Joash from
Hello.
Washington, and I was wondering. Have you ever thought of making any Minecraft? Has anyone in the group thought of making any Minecraft-themed Nerf gun mods?
Well, there's a whole Minecraft line of blasters,
Nerf blaster mod.
but the downside is
Yeah, well,
that.
have you ever thought of making?
Go ahead.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Well, what I was going to say is that there are Minecraft blasters, and while some of them aren't bad, the problem is that they made them look like the ones in the game, which are ergonomic nightmares. Or in many cases, they made them look like the thing in the game, and then they had to try to make them functional. And similar with some of the Destiny blasters or some of the Star Wars blasters or any of the licensed stuff, it has to look good, and then they have to make it work. And it's not always possible to make it work really well, which is probably why you don't see a whole lot of Minecraft blasters being modded, because they tend to be not particularly suited to modding. I'm sure I've seen Brett or Luchathor mod one of them, or it seems like something they would do.
Well,
I don't know if
I'm well aware that at the Minecraft Dungeons bow one, I'm pretty sure it was actually just they used one of the existing Nerf bows as a base before, or use it before, or figuring out how to make that internals fit inside the bow.
Yeah, the downside is none of the Nerf bows were ever particularly
I think
powerful.
that one would be one of the easier ones. And then there's also the single old dart blasters, which are literally just reskins of an existing blaster.
Yeah, and like I said, they're reskinned in such a way that they tend to be ergonomic nightmares. They don't holster well. They feel weird in the hand, but they look neat. And if you're really into Minecraft, most of them can certainly take the same mods that whatever they were derived from first. So the rear prime single muzzle blaster, it can probably take a K26, or if there's a revolver, it could probably take like a strong arm spring. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm willing to say that there's probably a good chance that we could fly core one of these too. Like the Dragon Blaster would be a really fun one to fly core, because they're not expecting it, and the handle, like it's really bad to like prime with. But if it was like a fixed handle and it didn't need to be primed and we just ripped everything out, I'd be willing to work on a project like that. If someone wanted to collab, I don't know if I could do it from scratch, but I'd be willing to try something like that.
That would be fun. That's the beauty of fly core. You can shove them in anything.
I'm kind of aware of some of these ergonomic nightmare problems, as I do own myself the Pillager's crossbow blaster.
Oh.
And
very cool.
I'm kind of aware of that. Although I did figure out that you could probably manage to make it less of an ergonomic nightmare just by changing out the casing to resemble more of an actual crossbow.
True. I mean, a lot of them, it would just be a matter of swapping onto a different grip, which isn't particularly difficult, grafting a grip from one blaster to another. I know Luchathor did it on, I think, his I think on his Ultra 2, he grafted on a Chaos grip or something like that because it was just so much more comfortable.
That's also what Luchasaur does.
Yeah, Luchasaur does the craziest and the wildest. But I agree with Kale. Taking something because they have the reputation of not being very good blasters, taking one and shoving something like Flycore in it and having it be a sleeper that just takes the first person completely by surprise and expecting it to shoot 15 feet, and instead they get 15 darts in the face at 30 feet would be hilarious to see.
I also have another question.
Yeah?
And it's also in the realm of modding. Have you ever attempted to mod one of the Nerf Super Soaker blasters?
No. I've used parts from Super Soaker blasters, but I've never actually tried to upgrade the internals. Did they ever have motorized ones? I know there used to be motorized Super Soakers. I don't know if
yes, I got a bunch of them and stuff like that, and they're loaned in my neighbors and use them all the time.
Super Soaker. I actually noticed something. Apparently, it's easier to make a Minecraft Super Soaker instead of a normal blaster because the axolotl Super Soaker from our Minecraft line actually is less of a nightmare because they made it so you pull back on a handle that's supposed to be the tail to take in the water and then push out. And also they rounded that part where you actually
those kind of the Hamp style Super Soaker or squirt guns, while not as neat as something motorized or pump action, were by far always the most powerful.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling, Josh. This is awesome, brother.
I always think about how to make egg. Yeah.
Your time is up.
Oh, I think
one.
Super Soaker mod.
Although, we should do now also. I think with it, because Kale had the idea, if someone wants to submit a Minecraft team for the tournament, get some Flycore things, and there you go. Surprise factor for the tournament. It's the Minecraft Flycore team.
Oh, you know what?
That would be something.
I was just going to say that. They should call it Minecore.
Minecore.
They should absolutely, at one of these big tournaments, they should have a team theme competition where you have to have some kind of a theme, whether your whole team is Minecraft theme or Star Wars theme or a video game theme, and have that be a separate prize.
Hear me out, okay?
What do you got?
I know, and I'm big on the competitive, and it needs to shoot fast, and blam and pow and scoodly doo bop bop and all that good stuff.
I know you're going.
But I would love to see a competitive awfuls tournament, like something where you have to roll the dice. You have to roll the dice for your loadout, whether it's every match or if it's for the whole tournament. But you just have to. It's like a bin blaster tournament, and it's just that sounds like a lot of fun to me.
I have enough good-willed Mavericks that we could run a tournament where everyone gets a Maverick from the bin.
Yes. Yes. Love it.
One in the chamber tournament,
Yeah. I would love to see an Awfuls tournament. Just like one round each, single elimination, just burn through it real quick just for the lulz. It would be great.
Yeah. I would pay to watch that. And I'd also pay to play in that.
Have it so there's a 1 in 100 chance that you end up with a proton pack or something.
Actually, you know what? I was going to say almost like a wild card aspect. So let's say you have a tournament. Let's say you have 16 teams. And of the 16 teams, 9 advance, 7 do not. Of the 7 or whatever number it is, quick awful round, winner of the awful round then advances with the other 9.
Or, I got an idea, we have multiple tiers of awfuls, and every round you win, you get a worse awfuls pool to draw from. So the more you win, the more likely you are to lose. Because if you go the other way around, where the more you win, the more likely you are to win, I hate that. That is just malarkey. It needs to be the other way around. Oh, you won your last round? Okay, you all get jolts.
There's only one way to prove, who's the best of the best if the blaster doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The ultimate foam-flinging gauntlet. That's what we should call it.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons that we really enjoy a bucket of pistols, because it is a level playing field. Everyone's running hammer shots and sweet revenges. It's about teamwork.
Yes. That's true. Something about that good old childhood fun, to kind of tie it back to Armageddon slightly. usually after lunch, or it's been a tradition that we have an offals round like after lunch, and so we had that last year, and it's just a lot of fun running around like we were young again, not really worrying about power and stuff like that. It was funny because at offals round we allowed soft throwables as well, and so the first tag that someone got on someone was them throwing a squeaking rubber chicken at them and like hitting them in the side of the head.
We did offals at the last waffle, and somebody got 3 tags in one round with a bazooka.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I was on the receiving end of that bazooka. I got shot point blank in the face.
Okay.
Shout out to Diesel if you're watching.
Oh.
Which PSA, iPro. Wear eye protection.
Yeah,
This brought to you by King of Games.
You don't
For
want to
real.
take a rocket launcher to the eye. It'll ruin your day.
Yeah. To kind of also answer the one of the questions I guess our caller had about modifying Super Soakers. I don't know exactly when this started, but I'm sure you guys remember a lot of the 90s Super Soakers were pretty powerful, and so at Armageddon they didn't really quite
Hydro
measure.
cannon. The old hydro cannon mods.
Yeah, those were. I mean, because back
Those
in
were
the
some
day,
of the
they
most
didn't
powerful
really measure
blasters in the.
things.
I remember when those were the most powerful thing anybody had was a single hydro cannon.
Yeah, they actually. So I was gonna say for Armageddon because we didn't really measure FPS for like safety limits until I think after the pandemic when I started organizing it. They just kind of like eyeballed things. Did it seem too powerful and did it like break skin or things like that. But yeah, they didn't allow Super Soakers. Haven't allowed Super Soakers for a while because like if you can mod something like that to get so powerful, it's probably too dangerous. So add to the Armageddon lore. As Kale whips out a super cool skull mask.
This is what I need to protect myself from the freaking rockets. Seriously. If you look, there's a video. I think there's a video on Beret's channel where I am kneeling down, right? And he shoots me with the what's the Roblox like rocket launcher?
Ooh,
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? The one that looks kind of has that like teal
Yes.
shade.
Yeah.
I swear, like my face. If you try to shoot me with high-powered normal darts, it's really hard, and I'm really fast. I can get out of the way. But you get. But as soon as someone whips out something silly, my face is a rocket magnet. Apparently. He goes around the corner, shoots for the legs because he's like, oh, it's a big ammo type. I want to shoot for the legs. And of course, I'm kneeling down there all tactical like this, and just bam, right in my face. And then Diesel hits me. What was that? 3 weeks ago?
3 and 4, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
With
this is my new mask for
XXL.
anything with a rocket in it.
Masks all around.
This is
Oh,
also why I
okay.
like this hobby. And
Yeah.
is because you can throw cosplay into it. You can be whatever. No one's gonna care what you're wearing as long as it's eye
No.
protection.
You gotta do the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, there we go. I was like, I didn't know we were doing masks. I know it was the theme, guys. I don't have anything.
Fair
Well,
enough. Yeah, I didn't know either. I just have one.
We can't.
We're making
wait,
this up as
wait,
we
wait.
go.
Wait.
There we go.
Solidarity
can't-
with my boy Al over here.
There it is. Yeah. See, exactly, man. We can't do blasters because YouTube likes it when we do not do that. So masks, we can do masks.
I want to get
We
a
can do
mask.
masks.
Ooh,
Because, Yeah,
them
we
horns.
can do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't do it, Jason. They're incredibly uncomfortable.
Hey, that's
Any
homemade,
questions in the
right?
chat? Who's looking at the chat? Anybody looking at the chat?
No, I got a mask on.
Yeah. There's one comment in there saying that apparently I'm the Josh Peck of our hobby, but instead of basketballs, it's rockets.
Or you're Sterling. That's who you are. I've seen that video.
That's right.
Indeed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, Al, I'm curious.
This is the way.
As someone who
What's
makes a lot of cosmetic stuff and does your own, I guess, paint jobs things. How long would it take to make something like that mask there?
A lot of masks pending. So again, I like to get like existing airsoft masks or existing masks that are actually pretty good. So my whole thing is not necessarily make from scratch. It's take something and add and build off of it. This thing's pretty standard, pretty easy. It's, again, 3D printed horns, then glued and screwed on. And then also I always putty around it just to make it solid around here. Then it's distressing or changing the color. This one in general is pretty good, but I've also recently discovered when you get these airsoft masks with the cages, experiment with spray painting the eyes a different color. It just changes the whole dynamic and looks so much cooler. Instead of, we're so used to being, well, it's probably got to be black and gray. I did one that was orange, and then I did another one that was red, and it's like, I need to do more of this. It's just finding the time to do it. So as soon as you change that, and again, you just tape it off, spray paint it, and it's fairly easy to do. And you suddenly change the whole dynamic of one of your masks, especially if you want to personalize it.
I love that. That sounds super cool. Yeah, I feel like the customization option of really going like deeper into the paint jobs is something like low key like is underrated about our hobby in general.
I appreciate that.
I wish my painting skills were anything on the level of Al's. I just base coat it in black vinyl dye, tape a couple of strips on it, and then paint it orange, and call it a day.
You're getting better at it though, dude.
I am getting better, mostly because I got my hands on a set of nice paint pens, which means I can go and fill in all the details really easily with a silver pen or a black pen or an orange pen.
Ooh, what you got there, Al?
Oh. Well, now that we've discussed like the fear of bazookas, I just a safety. So we're gonna
is the base
armor
like
up just in case.
Football.
Yeah, man. So when I do shoulder pads, they're all actually, I start with brand new football pads, as I tell people, because if you're gonna spend this much money on football pads, you want them to smell like you and not like someone else. So
true.
But like again, what I love about like building off of pads, because football pads, one, you get the right size, it's comfortable. Two, you can pull out the inserts and wash them. So if you sweat it up and stink it up, you don't have to Febreze the crap out of it. You can actually wash the pads and you'll actually smell fresh again. But then also the hard impact plastic is a great platform to glue and screw anything to.
I was going to go grab my bazookas, but then I remember we can't show things on screen.
Correct. Not those kinds of things.
Yeah. Man, imagine getting
wait till the end.
Imagine getting tackled by someone wearing something like that.
Murder ball! I want to play it.
Exactly. Well, as I tell some people, man, I said, do you hate it when you get on a subway and you have no personal space? This is your solution to personal space on a subway.
I like how that works for both the restaurant and the travel, the form of travel.
It is. And also, like, I realize it all depends where you live. Like, for example, you live in suburbia and I went for a walk, like in my area. They'd probably, all my close neighbors know, but the rest of them be looking at it like, what is wrong with you? And I probably have like a cruiser roll up on me going, what's wrong, son? You all right? Meanwhile, you could probably,
children.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I could probably take this and walk in like Manhattan all day and no one will like bat an eye at me.
That's true. Very good point. It looks freaking sweet. I'll say that much.
Thanks,
You've
man.
had some of your stuff featured on like WWE, haven't you?
Well, I've had WWE wrestlers buy my stuff. They haven't worn it in. However, on AEW, the past event, pay-per-view one, guys came in because they wanted to do like LOD pads. So I actually had one of the costume designers contact me because he needed spikes to do the shoulder pads. Because I also sell the spikes individually. So he bought a set of spikes, and sure enough, bang, there it was. He did a pretty good job on the spikes. I will not lie. Mine would have been cooler, but he also had only a week left, and it was his first time doing it. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I gave him some advice, and yeah. So spikes ended up on that. And I just had another guy buy a custom set with logo and everything else. Apparently, he's a wrestler too, but I don't think he's one of the major federations. He's probably a smaller one. So I'm shipping it out to him as well.
Cool.
Nice. I always love it when like our hobby can kind of cross paths with things like outside of it like that, or I guess people like kind of outside of the normal circles. Maybe this is what we need to bring Armageddon to the next level. We need someone like that, and like playing a juggernaut in the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I'd be happy. Yeah, because I've been on Discovery Channel. I've been on Vice News. I was in New York Magazine. It's our hobby is big. It gets noticed every once in a while, and sometimes the big screen stuff is actually positive. New York Magazine was not.
Oh,
Yeah, I looked that one up. They did an article. It was mostly kind of surrounding Drac, but it was the weirdest editing I've ever read. It was like 5 different people wrote the article, and at no point did they ever have a conversation with any of the other 5 people. The narrative would change completely from one paragraph to the other. The writing style would change completely from one paragraph to the next, and none of it made any sense. Whereas Vice News did a really good report on us, where they actually came out to my place and played in my field, and then they went to Mall Madness and they took part in that, and it was a very positive piece. It was really, really cool how they did it. And then the 2 Discovery Channel bits I was on was a positive light on it. So yeah, well, we got to get more of that, more marketing, more people who actually know how to talk on camera and promote what we're doing, and leverage the fact that Hasbro, that Nerf is the 2nd largest toy line in the world following Lego. There's no shortage of people with Nerf blasters. They just don't know that they're, probably 3 blocks from a Nerf war at any given time.
They don't know where to use them, but at the same time, basic Nerf, the question, like, to circle back, part of it is like why I started doing conventions. One, my first reason is that I don't have a brick and mortar store. Pictures and videos are one thing, but it's also another thing when you can actually put the thing in people's hands. So for me, this is why I do conventions, because it's a traveling workspace. But at the same time, when you go to these conventions and they're for anywhere from 50 to 150,000 people, that is, let's say, on average, 70,000 people over 3 days in a confined space. What does that mean? You make the shiniest booth you have or the biggest, loudest thing there, and somehow you'll attract a large portion of those people to walk by and see who you are. As part of that, so I definitely sell a lot to like the cosplayers and like just, people don't want wall hangers, but at the same time, I always leverage it. So I do a lot of the ones that are locally, and I always have like the Maryland, the Foam Alliance represented in my booth. We have an iPad running. And then the usual question, it's like, wow, I didn't know. People always say the same thing. I used to play with Nerf guns when I was a kid. I didn't realize it had this far. Wow, these products are so great. And then it leverages right into, did you know there are organized clubs near you? What? What did you just say? So it is a cheaper way to get to a lot of people that already are part of like the geek nerd culture, which I proudly say that we're all part of. It's a focus group where a lot of your friends and buddies go to conventions anyways. If you are able to find like a local one in your area and you set up a booth, and it can be just like informational, just like showing what you guys have, or get someone that sells stuff and then you set up that way. Point is, it is a great and easy way also to expand it. If you have failed at going viral on YouTube or anything else, you don't have money to like pay for an ad or a commercial. It's finding cheap ways where you'll reach a lot of people, and especially if they can see you in person and when they pick up like a modded Nerf gun. Like, for example, when we have Andrew, a.k.a. Dart Sweep, in the Dart Zone booth, and when he lights up his Mark III that is fully modded, and how loud that thing and fast as it is, it draws a crowd instantly. Like, well, are you selling that? Well, no, that's the whole modding aspect of it. And so it is a great way to reach a bunch of people, which is also why we do it.
On the one hand, I would love to bring Tier to one of those conventions. On the other hand, I wouldn't want to have to explain to all 100,000 people that no, it's not for sale. And no, I won't make you one.
No.
Which at which point it'd be kind of rude to bring it and show it off and then say, you can't have one. Be much more beneficial to bring blasters that I will make and will sell. Which reminds me, I need to mod you up a bunch of stock blasters.
Yeah, you do. Anyways,
the plan is I'm going to mod a bunch of blasters, because right now all the stuff he does, it's all stock, but it's just cosmetic work. And it occurred to me I could make some modded blasters and mail them or sell them to him, and then he could sell them for even more.
I hate doing internals. I know how, but I don't like it. It's not my thing.
Yeah. And I don't like doing cosmetics. So it seemed like a good pairing.
Now, if only one of us had moved closer to the other, it'd be easier.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Or teleportation. Come on, people, get on that, man.
So back to our guests. What's your long-term goals for Armageddon? Do you want to eventually do 3 days, or are you wanting to take it on the road, or are you wanting to franchise? What do you want?
You said franchise. I guess long-term goals for me is that with the event, and kind of looking back, kind of tying it back to like when I kind of started my Nerf career. When I started my Nerf channel, I really just wanted to kind of grow the hobby in general, and I think a big thing back there was posting gameplays. But now like the hobby's grown a lot, and I feel like I don't have to necessarily post much effort to see it grow because there's so many people involved in now, even though it can get bigger. I'd love for it to slap on an HVZ on it, make it like a 3-day weekend event, similar to again like a Ragnar Oktoberfest or Maryland Mayhem. I feel like HVZ is kind of in a slightly weird place because there was a lot of like colleges across the USA doing it, and now there's like not so many. And I guess before pre and post pandemic, so to to bring HVZ to SoCal, something kind of consistent would be really, really awesome. So that's my goal. Keep having
That's
this.
what it would take to get me down to your event.
What was that?
That's what it would take to get me to come.
Kale, we got to get on this, man.
You're not supposed to tell them yet, but I have a trailer. I'm just going to roll him up into it, duct taped, and he's going.
Just kidnap me in the middle of the night. Just feed Swamp Cat and let her out. I'll go.
By the way, this is recorded, so you can easily cycle back to this if he says, "I never said that." Yeah, you did.
No, I fully said that.
No, I mean him, not you.
Crimes.
I support what you're doing. I'm talking about his willingness to go.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm. At HVZ. No, you said you were going to go. I don't care what you have planned.
Yeah. At HVZ, I'll go. Next year, I plan to go to a lot more events.
I think the other half, obviously of Jason answering is my plans, my involvement. Obviously, I'm a relatively new player. And before I kind of segue to what my plans are, I kind of want to roll back to that part where we were talking about how anyone could be in the tournament and anyone has a real shot because, Jason gave kind of his background in the hobby and I didn't really give mine. And my background in the hobby is extremely short, right? I didn't even know modded Nerf was a thing just over 2 years ago, right? And now here we are and I'm in a traveling team. We compete in every tournament in the country. And stuff, and we're, traveling and stuff. And so when we were going into it, like my first tournament, I had only played in like 1 or 2 club games, and a couple practices. And so that just goes to show how accessible it was. And there's pickup teams at the event that I went to for the first time, which was FPT or Foam Pro tournament in 2022. And it was the 3rd qualifier of that season and stuff. And if I can jump in and create my own team from scratch, like I went to the San Diego Nerf Club at the time, played one game with them, asked around if anyone was interested in this Foam Pro tournament thing, and they were like, yeah, we've already got a team and there's no room on that team. And I was like, okay, well, I'll make one. And then I made one, recruiting people. We played in our first game. We placed 4th, which wasn't enough to qualify, but still 4th, a first tournament, that's only one away from, what in Maryland's case or in, other tournaments of the same nature would be a prize, a podium spot. In that case, since it's a qualifier, you needed to be top 2 to move on. But, we played in qualifier 4, which is a last chance qualifier, and did get 2nd. The learning curve isn't that steep with Nerf, So I did want to circle back to that, kind of tie in my history. I'm a new gen player, meaning like I only jumped in when competitive was already starting to wind up and stuff. So as opposed to Jason, who's, got a long history with the hobby, comes from old school mods, comes from stock stuff. To me, Dart Zone is stock stuff, right? That's what I came in with,
Yeah.
Dart Zone's pro line is stock stuff to me,
You don't remember when hitting 100 FPS was actually really hard, and now getting under 130 FPS is difficult.
Very true. Something I can very much relate to at Maryland Mayhem, where I was shooting like 123 average for like my first through third chrono attempts. But yeah, so it's very, very accessible. And when it comes to what I look for in the hobby, I've seen a lot of growth in the time that I've jumped in. I think I'm jumping in, like I said, on that uptick of competitive. It was the perfect time for me to get into it, to make as much progress, not only as I have as a player, but now jumping into organizing. I got the whole experience in a very short period and stuff. So going from last year to this year, my goal was to bring more competitive tournament events like Maryland Mayhem to Southern California and to the West Coast in general. And while there is Ragnar Oktoberfest, and I will definitely go to that and support that, and King of the Hill and anything that the Blaster Tag Association does, the thing about California is it's really long, and that's like a 7 to 9 hour drive from where I lived in Southern California near Jason before I moved here to Washington. So my goals from last year to this year were to make a tournament at all. And then from this year over the next, 1 to 3 years, I want to go from having this one event to having this event being a 3-day event on par with Maryland Foam tournament / Mayhem weekend, on par with End War weekend, on par with any of these larger events like Ragnar Oktoberfest. And then on a larger scale, I'd like these events to coordinate in the future to see the return of qualifiers into a singular nationals.
Yeah, and that, going back, that's one of the things that the World Foam Alliance really wants to do, is run national level tournaments that brings the players from all of these other clubs and all these other tournaments into nationals, having national qualifiers, bringing it all to one big thing, having the big marketing, having the big sponsors. And they don't want to be the only one. They just want to be a one that's doing that. The World Foam Alliance has no desire to be the unifying central authority within the hobby, because we don't have one, and I think that's a benefit in more ways than it's a detriment. Having tournaments be able to have their own play style, their own rules, their own FPS, their own, what game are they even playing? As opposed to, no, all foam tournaments from now on will be Flag Dash or will be King of the Hill, or that would squash the variety that make our hobby so cool. But just having more of it, having another tournament, having another option, having more people helping run these things, because that's one of the biggest things. A lot of these events, after venue, it's volunteers. Having enough referees, having enough people on the sidelines, having enough people organizing, having all of that. Logistics is a huge thing that most people, again, just don't understand. They go to the event and the event happens. It doesn't occur to them what had to happen for it to happen.
Very
how much
true.
blood was spilled.
Yeah, and so again, the World Foam Alliance wants to try to pool resources in a lot of ways and make resources available to people. Things for, like, you're doing crowdsourcing. They want to have a mechanism for that, where you can crowdsource your event, or do auctions or do fundraisers through the World Foam Alliance, because hopefully it'll have more connections and more people donating $1 to your event. Well, if it's 10,000 people who donate $1, that's a lot of money. But nobody has to give much. So things like that. Yeah. That's why we're here, why we do this. Hooray, thank you for being a guest. Yeah, we want to help. The World Foam Alliance wants to help make these, which is why I asked, what are you wanting to do, so that we know what are people wanting to do, so we know where to steer our efforts and what things to work on and how to help make these events get more coordinated. Because again, like you said, the coordination there, as I mentioned, at the beginning off camera, there was remarkably little communication between one club and another in a lot of ways. Mall Madness was struggling with a lot of things that Ragnar Oktoberfest had already solved, as far as logistics and keeping track of things and managing upgrades and all of that. They had it all electronic, where Mall Madness is doing it manually, which was a major slowdown when the event got to, when it was 50 people, they could do that. When it was 200 people, the logistics didn't work anymore. So what resources, what tools already exist that we just don't realize or that aren't available to us because it didn't occur to the person to build it to make it open source?
Right. Right. And that's part of the reason why we decided to go with Flag Dash specifically. The goal isn't to reinvent the wheel. The goal is to make sure there's 4 of them, so we've got a moving vehicle. You know what I mean? And I do, I do, of course, enjoy playtesting other stuff. We were working on, when I lived in Southern California, another game type that was specific to Southern California, using the bucket system, which is similar to what Ragnarok Oktoberfest King of the Hill tournament uses. They are able to run a multitude of game modes and keep track of complex metrics. But that includes, writing a whole set of rule sets, playtesting a lot of stuff that, the timing just isn't there for us to do. Plus Flag Dash works. Right.
Yes.
And so we did spend some time doing, 2v2 tournaments and 3v3 tournaments and, 5-on-5 tournaments using this game mode and testing the venues and other stuff like that. And then we got to a point where, I asked, a few people who had mentioned that they were wanting to get involved in doing this, tournament in addition to Armageddon, and they weren't ready to take that game mode. Into a tournament format. And I was like, okay, we've only got so much time, and I've played in both of the Maryland Foam tournaments, and I really enjoyed it. They're making incremental gains and making a good play experience. Let's just take what works and we'll bring it there. I don't want to wait another year. I don't want it to be, if you always wait until everything's perfect, you'll never do anything. It's the same with starting a YouTube channel or starting a business or, anything along those lines, or starting modding. If you wait until you're amazing at modding to mod something, you'll never mod anything because no one starts at the top. And so in this case, there's a working format. We got permission from the people who created this game mode to do so. And in their material, they do cite that, as long as you're providing credit to them for using their game mode, that it's pretty much like an open source game mode with the documentation available online.
Mm-hmm.
Making it duplicatable is this kind of like the thing that made this possible with the time we had to organize the event.
Yeah, it is a very simple game mode which has a lot of advantages. The complexity that Ragnarok Oktober has with, the fact that the buckets, keep track of scores and they talk and they communicate. That's really, really cool. But that's a lot of additional logistics and overhead and management and all of that, where flag in middle, move flag to other side. Much simpler, but interesting enough to make every round different. I love that they added the addition of you get points for being the first team to touch the flag. Even if you didn't ultimately end up scoring with it, whoever gets to the center and touches it broke up a lot of the stalemate that we saw in previous games where people would just stay back and plink at each other. No one would actually try to push the flag because there was no point. If you weren't able to actually push it, then it didn't matter. But getting there and getting that first touch gave you points. Really changed the dynamic of the game, and those kinds of, like you said, little increments that just make it more interesting, make it more challenging, make it more dynamic, make the players keep learning, keep practicing, keep advancing.
And the most important part, making it more interesting to watch, because more engagements on the field and more parts of the field, are more interesting to watch. And if we don't have a good audience, there's no point in there's nothing to gain for potential sponsors if there's not an audience watching what we're doing.
Yeah, so we have to be playing a game that, like I said earlier, is marketable. It needs to be fun, but it also needs to be marketable. And there's no reason that those have to be mutually exclusive. Big flashy games are cool to watch, but if it gets too big and flashy and you can't follow it anymore, then it becomes not fun anymore. If it's too simple, where it's just team elimination, that's kind of boring. No one's going to try to do anything flashy like slide in and grab the flag or push the flag when there's still enemies still on the field, when it's just straight deathmatch. But those are what are really cool, is watching someone make a push or seeing someone get that last second tag to the back just before they step across the back line. That's cool to see. That's interesting to see. That's something you cheer for. Watching two teams shoot at each other from all the way across the field because they've got long enough range and they just want to hide and cover, that's boring.
Yeah, but unfortunately, if you incentivize the wrong things in gameplay to win, then your players aren't going to do what you need them to do to make it interesting. And I can't blame them for doing something like that. I would do the same thing. I did do the same thing. That's why that mechanic change is so instrumental.
Exactly. If your mechanics, and that's why I like that they changed things. Because if it becomes stagnant, people are going to find what wins, and they're only ever going to do that. And then it's going to become boring. Whereas if you keep changing the rules, they have to keep finding what wins, which often involves doing something crazy to see if it'll work. And that's fun to watch. It's fun to watch people try to figure things out and try things that either, high risk, high reward, or high risk shot in the face. That's what we're here about. Watching people get shot in the face unexpectedly.
I was going to say, speaking of things that you can change, you don't always have to change the rules for people to have an interesting to need to change how they play. Yeah. You're basically
you can change the field.
That's what I was getting to. So we have changed the field for this tournament. So we've gone with the same rules, pretty much down to the letter, but we've decided to change the field in order to incentivize teams like, Magic Smoke was the winner from the tournament, right? That just happened. And they won both years, which is really cool. And my team, Nebula, got a second place both those years. But in order for us to incentivize more interesting play and to keep people on their toes, we need to change the field. And they're going to be coming out. Magic Smoke's going to be coming out to play in California Foam Soft tournament. Nice. So we got to keep them on their toes. And so, if we get a chance, I'd love to take a look at that field layout so that the, viewers can actually see what we've cooked up.
That's another reason that I wouldn't want hobby to become too standardized.
Hold on, I want to be the spoiler. The spoiler is it's going to be in a swimming pool. It's actually aquatic, underwater blasters. Whole episode about it next time. Don't ask any more questions. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, the fact that every venue is almost going to dictate different field layouts because you won't always have the same dimensions of a field to play in. Not everyone has the same cover. If they've got these airsoft inflatables and you're using, PVC or pop-up tents or whatever, that's going to be different. You can be playing the exact same rule set and be a completely different game just because of the different arrangement of cover. That is cool. I love that. That is great. We haven't heard from Jason in a while. Jason, say something interesting. Do a dance. Sing a song.
Yes.
I'll just add in that maybe like 2 topics ago, Captain Xavier, you mentioned that sometimes, we have these resources that we're just not really aware of. And I'd say that Kale, I'm so grateful Kale is part of this organizing team. He's taken organizing the competitive side head on. It's very refreshing to have someone as passionate as Kale, on your organizing team. And also I'm glad he's doing it because I'm a bit intimidated by trying to piece together like layouts and things. Like my mind doesn't quite work as well as it could or should maybe in that area. And then also the kind of add to how awesome KL/Ken Games is, he's living all the way in Washington. I'm all the way down in Southern California. And, he just very quickly like volunteered his time and efforts. And even though, again, he lives all the way up there and I'm down here, he's willing to organize it and come down and play. And even for day one, I think if I'm not wrong, Kale, that you're not going to be playing, right? You're going to be like reffing and organizing for day one instead of playing with Nebula.
Right. Yeah. Our hobby is so small that I don't think that there's necessarily a problem or conflict of interest at our level with, the organizer playing in said tournament, although at a larger scale, that would definitely be something we would probably bar. But the thing that my biggest concern is if I'm out here playing while trying to run this event, how good will the event be? If the quality of the event is going to suffer, then I'm going to have to be okay with giving up my ability to play. So yeah, I'm not playing in the tournament, even though my team is playing in the tournament. I will not be on that team for this event. And they also don't get any, special treatment and or get any, information that you guys aren't getting. there's a small group of all teams of players that got to see the first iteration of the field, because I needed other competitive minds. Just because I play competitively at a high level doesn't mean that I'm a one-stop shop. I don't have all the answers. So I did release, to a group of players, the field layout. But after that, besides that, they don't have any other sneak peeks into anything that everyone else doesn't, by just being simply in the Armageddon Discord server. Which, by the way, just to plug that in there, if you're not in the Armageddon Discord server and you're planning on going, thinking of going, just want to know more information, even if you're not going, you should definitely check that out. There's a ton of resources in there, people looking for teams and channel. And there's a looking for teams channel. There's blaster builds. Even if you're building something for the cap and you're not going to be able to go, we'd love to see what you're building, inspire other people. And also, if you're not going, unfortunately, we can't make every event, right? But if you're still interested in helping, there is a donation link as well. Like Captain Xavier said earlier, we are crowdsourcing a majority of this, and we'll be covering all the costs that we don't crowdsource. But if we are crowdsourcing more, we will be able to include more for the event. An example is like, hey, we're going to be providing water. It's hot in California, especially at the time of year, in 3 weeks-ish. But if we have donations, we'll take that money, and instead of replenishing our pools of money first, what we're going to do is we're going to take every bit that we get in and put into the quality event. Maybe we'll be able to carry Gatorade, which is significantly more expensive, but has electrolytes to help people stay on top. Maybe we'll be able to have like a snack bar or something. We do have a food vendor, which is pretty cool.
Good.
But, we're trying to include every resource we can, and paying refs. Like right now we have community refs, but if we get to a certain point in donation tiers and sponsorship tiers, then we're going to, get paid refs, and we're going to continuously increase and maximize every penny we have to make the best event possible. So if you get a chance, that's also a thing to do.
In paintball refs, I think they were.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that was amazing to see because they missed nothing. They in the first couple of rounds, the refs were constantly calling infraction here, infraction here, infraction there, and by the end of the tournament, the players had worked it out, and you saw almost no infractions anymore. And the refs were like, "This is so much nicer than paintball. Not one person has threatened my child because I called them for an out of bounds." That's rough, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why we're the fun thing to do.
You guys are way more fun to play with. I tell you, you're out and you just go. It's great.
Yeah, half the time you don't even have to call us. We'll call ourselves before the whistle even hits. We're halfway off the field and they go, "Oh, well, he's gone already."
Well, yeah, he caught it. Yeah, we do still go on an honor system, whereas I guess in paintball you're only hit if a ref tells you you're hit.
I mean, I'm sure that there is a level of honor system, but people will, abuse those systems a little more as a more commonplace.
And I loved having refs to call when I was in, because we were wearing hockey jerseys, and the sleeves were so poofy I couldn't feel the hit. And someone called me and you're like, "Oh, cool." And it was nice because otherwise it makes you look like you're intentionally cheating and not taking your hits. I'd much rather have a ref go, "Yeah, that hit your sleeve." And you're like, "I'm out."
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was really cool seeing how the players just got better at sticking to the rules, and a lot of it probably just was they weren't used to the rules. They were "Oh, that's an infraction. I had no idea." So yeah,
I will say that there was a learning curve for the refs because they're not used to seeing they're in the early parts, and they did actually do a test day earlier in the weekend where they got to come out and start trying to call hits on us as players kind of just doing scrimmage matches and mixing it up, and that's something that not a lot of people knew about. But basically they were having a hard time just kind of getting used to the fact that there isn't a splatter to look for. There's a bounce, and they have to watch to see where that goes from. It's not that they couldn't see it. They just had to get used to the concept of how our tagging works.
Yeah. It was cool. But yeah, that's, you get there eventually when the event gets big enough, which we are here to help make sure it happens. I definitely look forward to someday having events on that scale up here in the Northwest. It's weird that we don't have it, given how many of the big sponsors are up here.
Well, I'm here now, so if I have anything to say about it, it's very soon.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're when the time comes, I definitely am all in on helping run big events. I did big events back in my medieval recreation days. I did international wars and multi-state events, and I helped run Borst, and I'm all for making a big event happen up here. I'd love to do a big HVZ someday. If we could do it at one of the coastal forts, God, that would be cool.
I was gonna say, Basic Nerf, you gotta look out, man. They're gonna steal Kale from you, or we're gonna divide them up to at least run 2 events. But finally,
no,
dude,
you've
this is the
got
opportunity.
Armageddon. We'll have Legmageddon.
Resources are there, dude. Organize these mooks, man, and get them out there. All they need is someone to listen to. So just tell them what to do, and they'll do it.
I'm sure there's plenty of Kale to go around, so that is no problem on my end.
I am the Energizer
He might drag
Bunny.
you up to help him.
Yeah, when's the basic PNW?
Oh man, it's honestly, I'm still in school, but I'll see when I graduate, hopefully in like another year. I do have a friend who works up there in Seattle. I haven't seen him in a while, so it'd be a good excuse to like kind of celebrate and go up there and see him. But kind of be in your neck of the woods, so potentially in a year or so.
I could see that happening. We've got a couple players from Jason's neck of the woods. Obviously, one of them is my teammate, and the other one is a close friend. Coming up to visit this area on the weekend after. I want to say the weekend after Armageddon. So it'll be cool. Oh, and they're in the chat now. What up, Goop?
Bring them by the makerspace. I'd love to have them come by.
Yeah. I think there's a 3-day weekend kind of thing we're doing. We're trying to do a little airsoft arena takeover for Nerf, which I did when I first moved here, kind of make friends, throw an event, that usually helps you make friends. And then we're going to do, I think Borst is the next day, or it's the Sunday of that weekend. And then there's Bucket, the uncapped event in the Oregon woods. It's going to be a good time. Honestly, that whole month is going to be so much nerfing. Oh my God. I just quantified it right now and realized how much in 2 weeks, I'm going to hit 6 days of nerfing.
Cool. Oh God. That's like almost a whole week.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to stay here on your way down to Oregon, I've got a bunkhouse you guys can hang out, and you can do night games in my arena.
But you gotta go home with darts.
God.
Yeah. You have to take a pack of darts.
Yeah. I'll take darts. I always use darts. I need more darts always.
Yeah, I'm curious to see your review on those darts, Cap, whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They did not seem to work in the lower powered blaster well. They didn't clear the barrel, so they might need either higher power or they might be for flywheelers. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll put them through a bunch of stuff.
Do you guys need a standard dart for your tournament? I hear Cap has got cases of it.
Hey, give away your own stuff.
Sponsor.
Yeah, the Captain
darts that nobody wanted to buy. It turns out there's a reason nobody was buying them.
Well, I mean, I don't know about for the tournament.
It'll be a very level playing field. Everyone gets crap darts.
The tournament people will be bringing their own darts. Players, especially, picky players like myself, we tune things for very specific darts at very specific weights with, even down to the color preference. Like, I'm preferring, the yellow worker heavies over the red ones because, I've tuned for the degradation of the dart by color, like the little tiny details that wouldn't matter to anybody else in a tournament matter to people like me. So they'll bring their own darts for that. But hey, day 2 could use as many darts for that community pool as possible. So
or if you're instead of an awful blaster round, have an awful's darts round.
Well, we'll just cut down some elites then and call it a day.
Yeah. There we go. I got a bucket full of cut down waffles. You can have them.
I mean, I won't say no. I just won't jump for joy.
No.
I think I got a bin of old worker Gen 1s.
You have a bin of everything.
I do. I do.
And we thank you for that. That is awesome.
I just sent somebody ping. They're like, "Hey, I'm doing what event were they doing?" It was like I don't know if it was a birthday party or a work retreat, but they asked for a bin full of single shot pistols and maybe some darts. And I think I sent a bucket of 34 hammer shots and like 10,000 X shot darts. Like, here you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so Xavier, I know you have like kind of like from what I've seen in the Vice interview, you have like kind of like the shed out there next to your compound, but like is Nerf starting to overcome your household too? You know, it's like under your bed and stuff, or
no? They're the only Nerf that goes in my house are my brushless blasters because their electronics are delicate enough. I don't want to leave them out here in the damp. But there is no other Nerf in my house. What's taken over my house is the Lego.
Another fun one.
The entire second story of my house is nothing but Lego, and then there's my big ships of the line are on display in my living room. But no, the Nerf stays out here in the shop, and the shop is full to bursting. The shipping container next to the shop is full to bursting. The barn that holds twice as much as the shipping container is full to bursting.
Oh God. I didn't know you had that many like storage areas for all this stuff.
Oh, you have? Yeah. See, what happened is I used to do a lot of Goodwill runs where I would go and buy a whole lot of blasters at Goodwill. I still do the Goodwill runs, but I'll buy like 3 blasters because I don't need any more. But other people watched my Goodwill videos. They started doing Goodwill runs. They ran out of room and then donated it all to the makerspace. So I don't even have to do the Goodwill runs. I still end up with it all. Which is why, if you come to my makerspace, no one leaves empty-handed. Take something.
No. I can attest to that. I've been to his house one time, and I got 2 rival mags.
Yeah, there you go. That's what he asked for. Like, you're taking something. Rival mags, here you go. I got a bin full.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm glad someone as big a figure as you are, Cap, is as charitable as you are as well.
Well, given that I didn't pay for half of it, it'd be kind of cheeky for me to not give it away. Yeah, I'll sell you darts. $10 a box. How about that?
Tell you what, we'll change it up. He's not selling anything. He'll give you anything for free. However, if you'd like to make a donation to Let's Send Cap all over North America, he will happily accept that. So again, he will give you free stuff.
I do need to put
and
together
accepting donations.
like a dedicated travel Patreon.
Correct. You want to see him at all these events? Just make donations, and we'll send Cap all over the country because flights cost money, and he'll give you free stuff. Just donate to the Let's Send Captain Xavier all over the place.
I wish someone would give me a good source for merch.
You know, if only there was a place that you could get stuff. Like, well, here's a question.
I missed the coupon. There was a sticker sale yesterday. I missed it.
There's another one today, man. Yesterday was 10 for $1. Today was 50 for $9 or something like that, man. Die cut ones.
I'll check it out. Because I'm out of
here's a good example. So we all know that. Yes, you do. That's a different one. They're always 50% off there, anyways. Almost every other week. But we all know that Captain Xavier has many catchphrases. So tell me you wouldn't buy a shirt that says "train." It says, "I have a bin."
I've got a bin for that. How very dare you? I am not impressed. I like all things modular. Can I take a K-26? If nothing else, I should have stickers of all of that. Maybe not shirts, but I definitely should have stickers of all of it.
All of it. Dude, I gotta get off my lawn shirt. Like, come on, man.
I gotta get me one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel
like
the Nerf merchandise space is a little lacking, honestly. So, if you had some merch, Cap, I might have to.
Out of Darts carried my shirts for a while, but they finally all sold out, and he didn't restock them. Foam Blast used to sell pins and patches, and I wish I'd bought more of the patches. I think I only ever got 2 of the big patches.
Al and I are on the same wavelength. Say it, Al.
Your shirts are still available. However, I'd have to buy 7 of them because the only sizes left are like small
Yeah,
and extra small.
Exactly. Yeah, they're down to only that. I did end up getting one for Loadout Larry, and I think it's a small, but he's svelte enough it fits him, the skinny bitch.
Oh, that's awesome.
I said a bad word. No.
Yep, skinny. Nobody likes that word.
I'll be monetized. That's right. I body shamed Loadout Larry.
No body shaming. Come on, stop that.
Man, I wish I could make the smaller, extra
Wait,
small
did-
fit, but putting on
Yeah.
someone
Did you
this
just
pandemic,
assume his slender? Did you
Well-
just assume his slender?
I think so. Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
My melon is big enough. What if I got an extra small and turned it into a bandana?
Yeah, there you go. Just
I have
Oh.
another
put it
idea.
on the neck hole and wear it like a pharaoh's headdress. It'll put the logo on your back at that point, and the sleeves will be by your ears. It'll be gorgeous. I might have to do that. Just make a do-rag out of a small shirt.
Oh, or buy
Yeah.
a couple. Go ahead, Kale.
Or-
What'd you have,
or-
buddy?
All right, so hear me out, okay? You could go into your rebellious side, do a little punk patch on a denim vest, but it's just a cutout of the back of the X logo from the
Just-
shirt.
yeah,
You
just
just
safety
need the
pin it
logo.
on
You
there.
don't need the rest of the shirt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Safety pin it,
just hold it
sew it
on,
on there with
safety pin it
dental
on.
floss. That's popular.
I was alive in the 80s. I'm entitled to that sort of fashion.
Well, you know what? I could do that to the back of this. Cut it
I
out.
was
Make
thinking
like
that,
like a
but-
rough.
Just make
Yeah.
a little cape out of a Captain Xavier child-size shirt.
Yeah, it's like almost like a wearing a banner, like not or a standard. But yeah.
Or no, make it like
Post-apocalyptic.
the Boba Fett cloak, where it's just kind of draped over one shoulder. Just make it all, just shred all the rest of it up, and just have it draped over his shoulder, and then with like
Right,
a baby doll head stuck on a spike.
The Mando half poncho.
There it is.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, how much you want to bet now? Suddenly, like Luke's gonna come. Hey man,
but
your
we
shirt's
sold
finally
out
sold
before
out
I
for
can
some
get to
reason.
There's people in the comments just buying them up now, like none for him.
And then you'll get an email tomorrow from Long Wang. Hey man, you want to buy an extra small? I'll give it to you for $25.
Speaking of shameless plugs for merch, as you can
Yes,
see,
do
I'm
it.
wearing a Nebula hat. And Nebula, my team, is actually doing some merch of their own. If you haven't seen already, Out of Darts is now carrying the B-Cars in the Nebula edition on their website. It's a variant under the regular Gavin Fuzzy one. So just saying, if you wanted to pick one of those up,
There's nothing like. Have you guys properly plugged yourself? Like, do you have YouTube channels, Instagrams, TikToks? Give us the deets, man.
Plug.
Jason, you can go first.
Cool. Well, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as Basic Nerf. Yeah, I do gameplay videos, or I need to get back into uploading stuff. But my thing back in the day was gameplay videos. That was my big thing. Yeah, now I have Armageddon footage though. There, I have a little music video recap. You can see like last year's Armageddon, some of the hijinks that we were up to, including that chicken tag I mentioned earlier. That's on camera there, and that's in the music video. But yeah, generally you can find me on Discord too, like Basic Nerf. I'm, the same. My email is Basic Nerf, so at gmail.com. So I'm there, I'm covered. My name's covered.
Awesome. Kale.
Yeah, I mean, I got a bajillion things to plug, of course. So my main thing is like I'm on YouTube, right? Under King of Games. If you just look up King of Games and then the word Nerf, you'll almost definitely find at least one of my videos. I think the official like @ username is like King of Games, no spaces, 234. And then I'm on Instagram. 234 was taken. So I'm King of Games 951 on Instagram and TikTok. I don't post a lot on TikTok, but maybe I will if you guys want me to. Maybe.
Yes, do it.
And then of course, we have all of the socials or not all the socials, but the socials for Nebula. So I got to plug that in. I'm the captain. I got to do that. If you go onto Instagram, it's at Nebula Team Official. And if you go to my Instagram, if you just go to my bio, it's like linked, so make it way easier on you and stuff. But yeah, on my YouTube channel, that's where I'm the most active. I post reviews, I post challenge videos, I post all sorts of Nerf related content, and then I do post a little bit of my Other hobbies, like I'm an avid Ghost drinker, and I always have like reviews of like different flavors coming out and stuff like that. And then I am going to start posting some stuff related to my Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like background, which is where the name King of Games comes from. And I have played in the World Tournament for the Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. I also have a little bit of arcade content on there, but it's like, again, just sprinkles of it. It's mostly Nerf stuff. But I wouldn't be the king of games unless I was the king of, multiple games, right?
Otherwise, you'd be king of game.
Yeah, exactly. And then that just sounds like a weird pickup, a weird pickup Dateline type thing, and I'm not really interested in that.
Awesome. And now for Armageddon, are there links? Where can people look up and find information on it?
Sure. We have a poster actually that people can go to. Perfect. That's on screen. It has a lot of the basic information, but it also has a QR code on the bottom left corner that you can scan, and it'll have a link tree for a lot of different resources. I think personally the best resource if you're on Discord is to go there, because you can get easy access to Jason and myself on a regular basis. Plus, there's a lot of information on where to go for the addresses, the rules, the people looking for teams that I was referencing earlier, people posting their blaster builds if you're looking for advice on what to bring, how to mod it, and all that other stuff. There's plenty of information there. And then mostly right now, I don't know if we'll have a dedicated page for the socials for Armageddon, but there is an event page on Facebook in that link tree as well. And then on Instagram, it's mostly collaborations between our personal accounts of myself, Jason, and then the Drop Zone Arena sponsor who's providing the cover for the event. There's also
That's
information if you're local to Southern California in the SDNC server on Discord. So if you're local there and you're looking for a regular club, there are like four clubs there that are all right in that little area. There's San Diego Nerf Club. There is LUNC, which stands for Lazy Uncles Nerf Club. There is the LAFF, which is Los Angeles Foam-flingers. Or no, it's Foam Fighters LA. Yeah, I got it all backwards. It's FFLA. And then there's also SGNW, which is Small Group Nerf Wars, all within within 2 hours of each other.
Nice, love it.
So if you're in SoCal Nerf, you'll see links there for sure, and like those groups or the Discord. And of course,
Thank heaven this is being recorded, and people can rewind and watch this, because you already lost me like 3 minutes ago. But then I'm old, so never mind. This is why I'm glad we can tape things, and I can't take notes quickly. But as always, this is where you can find it. Again, big shout out to both of you for coming out. Love the fact you came out and told us about it. Love the fact that you're venturing out and going, yes, we can do this, because this is how it all starts. It's not because someone showed up and said, here, just take over and do it. It's kind of like, we're going to try this, we're going to make it happen, and that's how great things happen. So well done. Again, it's Armageddon. It is happening the weekend of July 13th. Is that what it is?
13th, July 13th and 14th.
Thank you. July 13th and 14th. See, man, don't get old and get like an addled brain. You forget stuff. But July 13th and 14th, Armageddon, they will be streaming the tournament. You can still enter and go in, and don't think you can't qualify. Remember, 2 of us are on an old fat man team, and we did not finish in last. If anything, man, we became very popular. So again, anything and everything is possible. King of Games here, he's a great example. He came out to his first tournament and finished 4th. So enough with your excuses. I don't care if you're busy. You only live once, man. Go out. It's cheap. Go have fun. And this is how you start and do something fun, man. If you sit on the sidelines, that's always where you're going to stand. Don't be afraid to stand up and try something. Go out, do it. Have fun. If you can't make it, I understand life gets in the way, but you want to be part of it. Again, they're crowdsourcing, there are donations. You can help pay for it. The more they can get, the bigger they can make it. It's not because they're pocketing money. They're doing this because they love it and they want to make things happen. That's why they're here. If they're just trying to pocket money, I'm pretty sure I can guarantee you that myself and Shayla would not have them on here. We would not be talking to them, and we'd be telling people, dude, no. But we're telling you,
we'd be figuring out how exactly they were making all that money so that I could have my own private Nerf yacht.
Right. Different episode, different Discord for that. We're not talking about that now. Nerf yacht, again, send money to Chalo. So other than that, Upcoming again next Wednesday, we should have another episode of Foam Zone. However, also happening at the same time, Dart Zone will actually be in Denver. Denver Fan Expo is happening starting the 4th of July, and it runs for 4 days. It is a big one. If you're anywhere near the area, if you've been to Expo events, if you want to go to it, go check it out. You'll find the Dart Zone booth. I will not be there. I will be probably getting my sunburn because family vacation. I'm doing that instead. However, you will find Andrew, aka Dart Sweep, will be down there at the Dart Zone. At the Dart Zone booth. Also, my boy Nate, also known as Wolfguard Cosplay, part of also the Mega Double XLs. And of course, you'll have the Dart Zone booth. All their online exclusives will be there, and it will be cheaper than online, and you get to test fire it, and you get to ask questions. Also, if you have a Nerf group in the Denver area, Colorado area, reach out, man. Reach out to Andrew, aka Dart Sweep. Let him know about it, because we get these questions at the booths all the time. If they're local groups, let us know if it's a local group. We'll happily pass that along to people. That is part of what we do.
Isn't Mile High Nerf Club around there?
Could very well be, but I know there is. There's got to be. And I think there are people also coming up from different areas. If you have the opportunity to come out, do it. After this, the next one will be in Chicago. It is August 16th or 17th. I will be at that one as well. Andrew, Dart Sweep will be there as well. Come out and check us out in Chicago too. Come out and say hi. Come out and see us also. If you have things in that local area, let us know. That way we can pass along that information. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Liked it. Thank you for coming out. Also, go to worldfoamalliance.org. Don't forget to register. Our whole purpose, much like what Captain Xavier was alluding to before, we are not here to conquer the Nerf scene. We're here to connect the foam flinging scene. We are not conquerors. We are connectors. We are taking everything that everyone does, all the cool and unique things you do, and letting everyone else know that, hey, they're doing this too, and you all can be part of each other's things to make this big, beautiful, and wonderful is what we want to do. I think that covers
the next
all
episode
of
of The Range will be on the World Foam Alliance tomorrow. See me and Rocket plink on the range. Good time.
Let's go.
That is always good times. Go ahead.
Somebody's throwing stuff.
Sorry, I said let's go. New dart testing with Captain Xavier tomorrow.
That'll be a different video. That this ammo hadn't arrived yet when that video was filmed. Everything is a couple of weeks behind. Anyway, yes, there will be a testing of this ammo. That wasn't part of the deal. I didn't agree to review it, but I'm gonna anyway because I'm curious how well this stuff works. Because I've seen these darts before. We've got some blue ones that keep showing up in our loaner bin.
Oh, you know what those look like? They kind of look like the Zeus darts that come with the new BK1S and BK2S.
Could be.
There we go. We'll soon find out. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be comparing them to like worker heavies and worker, because that's what they look the most like. Getting weights and then getting performance and
the lemon lime Sprite darts.
Worst case scenario, they become flywheel darts. Then I can fire them out of anything.
Beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in. Keep flinging foam. We'll see you all soon next time. We're out.
Bye. Get off.